please make sure you go over to YouTube, subscribe, or you can always find us on any of the podcast platforms, and that's Fostering Change. Well, it's so hard to believe that we are already in the fall season. I tell people all the time that, they ask me, what is my favorite season? And I will have to tell you it's fall. Now, it's also because it is my birthday month. And as I've always told people, I love birthdays. But I also love the fact that we're on season 5 of Fostering Change. But I'm so excited about my next guest. I actually met my next guest earlier in the year, and I was so thrilled by what she's doing. I was absolutely loving her book, and we're going to talk about this. But Haley, welcome to Fostering Change.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's such a pleasure to be on your show. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, Haley, I was absolutely impressed the fact that you came when I was actually at Lynn University, if I'm not mistaken. And you had the box and you had all the information you wanted to talk about your book, and I loved it. And I just love the fact of what your book is really teaching everybody. Now, listen, it's called Charlie Takes an Adventure to the Moon. Okay, this is the book right here. We're going to have a link where everybody's going to be able to purchase this. But one of the things that I absolutely took away from your book was, I don't think that we talk about bullying enough. I really think that this is, we know it's happening. We're seeing it happen, but we're not talking about it. What inspired you to write this book?
Sure. So for that book, I myself was bullied, and I was bullied as young as an elementary school student. So when you get bullied over and over repeatedly, you tend to kind of curl up. And I got bullied from elementary to high school. And so during those middle school years, it was a long time. During those middle school years, girls can be really, really mean. And so I had no friends. I was eating lunch on the toilet of the bathroom, just eating my paper brown lunch. And I think years later, around the time I had this epiphany to write Charlie Takes Adventure to the Moon, I said, well, maybe we need to write a book that maybe can talk to kids, can empower kids about getting bullied and maybe how to deal with that sort of angst. And so that's kind of where that light bulb moment came from years ago.
That is something that I think that, you taking that direction is so different than where most people are taking it. And what I see the majority of our population of elementary school kids, because I'm going to tell you right now, once they get into middle school, for some reason, it just empties out of everybody's vocabulary. But I love how you're dealing with how do you deal with people that are bullies, because by the way, I'm 56 years old, and I still see adults bullying people. I see it on social media. I think it's absolutely got out of control. I think it's even made bullying even larger. And I love that the way that you're going through this to how to help the person who is being bullied. Give our listeners and our viewers an example, because number one, I want them to grab this book. I want this to read to their kids, because I think so many parents don't even realize that a child is being bullied because the child doesn't want to talk about it, because then, the child feels unpopular. The child feels, as you said, you didn't have any friends, that, you were sitting at the lunch. And that's something that's hard for kids to speak about to their parents, because to them, they feel like they failed, when truthfully, that's not how it works. So I'd love to hear an example that you use in this book.
Sure. So the reason I wanted to kind of have the story go through Charlie the Penguin, because I wanted to get kids involved, understand Charlie. So Charlie's a penguin, main character of all 4 of the books. And so I wanted kids, if they can understand that Charlie stands for love, kindness, respect, treating others the way that I want to be treated. So then if they understand those fundamental concepts, they get hooked on Charlie the Penguin books. Well, then when they see, their brother or their sister not being nice to someone, they can say, hey, wait, hold up. Do you remember when we read that book yesterday? Mom read it to us, and Charlie would not have done that. Oh, that's right. So then when I go into the classrooms, we have these programs, the teachers try and impress upon the kids. And then just like you were saying, Rob, how adults do the same thing. So I'm trying to have these kids, it's definitely a long project. We're trying to have the kids then inspire their peers, then inspire kids older than them, then inspire adults. And so then we'll just have a really solid, great society where everyone just gets along. It might be
You know,
utopian, but I'm
I think
hoping.
that that could happen, by the way. I'm going to tell you, I'm a believer, and I believe that you
Thank
put it
you.
out in the universe that it will happen. But what I also love is the fact that you don't just stop at a book. I mean, you actually have a program,
I
which I
do.
think is something that is so important because so many times children, we read kids' books and then we just move on. And I always say to everyone, you know, I have people who, you know, reach out to me all the time because of me being an author. What do
Sure.
you say? What advice you give? And I always say I give the advice, you have to have a takeaway. You have to have a takeaway. I mean, even if the fact of my memoir, you know, you have to have a takeaway. And what I love about your book is that your book has a takeaway because it has more that you can do within the school system. Tell our listeners and our viewers
That's right.
about.
That's right. So I wanted the books not be like every other children's book. So I'm sure you know, being an author and a parent, when you go to Barnes Noble or you go to your local little boutique bookshop, they're the same book over and over. Mama Bear, Papa Bear, it ends the exact same way. And so I wanted something that was very unique outside the box. And when it comes to a book, you have to be very strategic in your marketing. And so I wanted that sizzle in a steak. And so when people pick up the book, I wanted them to know that you're kind of falling in love with Charlie. You're part of the Charlie family, the club. So it comes with all of these 17 and counting anti-bullying programs. And one of the most coolest programs I might have shared with you is that you can put your photo on the moon. And so I co-own with another individual space on 3 rocket ships. The most popular one that people know is the SpaceX Falcon Heavy. So you would take a photo with you and your family. You can do a selfie. You can even do like a couple's photo, whatever you want. And then you send it to the moon. And then within 30 seconds, however quick you are with your cell phone, within your email, you'd get a PDF file, moon certificate, your photo going to the moon. And it's all to say, hey, comfort cases, we stand up against bullying. You know, whatever company it is, your company, maybe you took the pledge. We don't bully here and we don't tolerate it.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. I love that. I love the fact that there's so much that, you know, we can teach our kids and, you know, we can learn as an adult too. I mean, you know, it's never too late to learn. But the fact is that,
Yeah.
you know, I'm kind of thinking I'd like to have my photo on the moon.
Right?
You know,
You should.
you know, I have to say the one thing that really has bothered me the most when it comes to bullying is I run within the foster care arena, and you know, so many times I see kids who are in the system, you know, who are going to school and you know who are being bullied because they don't have the best designer clothes and they don't have the best shoes, and they go, you know, I met a young boy just recently, you know, who's been in 6 homes, and that means 6 different schools. You know,
Right.
have you ever thought about maybe connecting with child welfare systems and making sure that you know this is within their system as well?
You know, I haven't. That's definitely a really good idea for me too. There's a local nonprofit in my area. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're pretty small. I want to say it's SOS. It's a nonprofit where they actually work directly with foster children and trying to find them like a forever home.
Yeah, I
It's
think
really
that,
nice.
you know, I really think that this is, you know, are you talking about the Selfless Love Foundation?
No, I know
Okay,
one of
'cause
the
I know
references
they're in your
actually
area. I know they're in your area,
are they?
and you know,
Oh, okay.
and they work with trying to make sure that you know kids who are aging out have a foundation. But I love that.
That's nice.
I do think that that is something that you really should look at. Is where you
Okay.
should actually look at, you know, truly, you know, reaching out to that type of market as well. You know, I read something that you know you were told that you would never have a book published.
That's right.
So I want to know about how, you know, because for so many times, you know, people say that you know, they crush someone's dream,
Yeah,
but you didn't allow that dream to be crushed. What, you know,
I
I
didn't.
can't imagine as a young girl you've been bullied for all these years. You
Mm-hmm.
decide in your heart of hearts that you want to write a children's book, and then somebody says to you, you're never going to get it published.
Right.
After all of that trauma, and by the way, we all need to understand something. Bullying is trauma. It's trauma. And no matter whether you were bullied from kindergarten to fifth grade or kindergarten to 12th grade, even as an adult, after being bullied for all those years and even bullied for a year, anything can trigger that trauma. And so to have somebody say to you, you know what, Haley, you can write that children's book with every piece of paper, but guess what? It's not getting published.
Right.
But you did something different, and tell me why and how you did that. And where did you get that resilience and that grit to make this happen?
Sure. So I guess I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. So I wrote Charlie Takes Adventures, the first book ever, when I was 11 years old in the 6th grade. Everyone in my class had to write their own book. Well, fast forward, this book, Rob, sat on my bookshelf collecting dust for a mere 13 years. Every time I wanted to get the book published, I would constantly, over and over, hear the discouragement from family, friends, teachers, librarians of every single reason why I should never get the book published. This is what I would hear. You're way too young, too hard, too much money. But then fast forward around 24 years old, a boyfriend tells me, honey, you'll never get that book published. You're just not smart enough. So I tell him, let me show you where the door is located. Don't let it hit you on the way out. I ended up getting the book published 3 more audiobooks, ebooks. And and so to answer your question, what kind of sparked that? I think it was that comment. And I think something just kind of like lit inside of me and said, I got to do it. I want my story out there. And that's not true. I am smart. I can get this published. And so I think that's a definite testimony to anyone out there who has a dream, wants to start a business, wants to be whatever they want to be in life. You can believe in you can, do whatever you want, but it starts with yourself. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, well, then you got to keep working on that.
I love that. And I'm a true believer of that. And, people ask me all the time, where did I get my grit growing up, for what I went through. I always said, I used to look in the mirror and say, you deserve better. And that's what people always must remember. So let our listeners and our viewers know, how do we get a hold of you? How are we able to get this book? How are we able to get what I like is the program? And by the way, teachers, I know you listen to this podcast. I know this is something that you might want to look into, something you could bring it into your curriculum. It is something that we need to be teaching. We need to be talking about it. It needs to be a conversation. And by the way, it also needs to be a conversation at the dinner table. It needs to be a conversation at the dinner table, my parents, because you never, ever, ever know whether or not your kid is being bullied. And the thing I don't want you to do is to wait until it's too late. And that truly can happen. So how can we get this book and get your program?
So anyone who wants to purchase my books, you can log on to my website by simply going to www.charlietakesandadventure.com. And that is spelled CharlieTakesadventure.com. And then if you want to contact me about the programs, if you go onto the contact page on the Charlie Takes Adventure page, you will see my email address there.
Well, that is awesome. So listen, everybody, we're actually going to have a link here that can take you directly to Haley's website. I'm very lucky that I get to meet some amazing people. I get to meet some amazing authors, amazing humans. But you know what, Haley, I'm so glad that I got to meet you. And by the way, I'll be at Lynn University in January.
You will. Okay, great.
For us to pack 1,000 cases. And so I do hope you come and visit me. Everybody, the book, again, again, it's called Charlie Takes an Adventure to the Moon. You need to get this book, but you need to get the program, because I think the book is great, but I think the program truly makes a thing. And one of the things I'm going to leave this with that I learned about the program with my family is the fact that you can do something just once a week. You don't have to like pound it into them. It's a once a week thing. It's a constant, talking. And what a great conversation at the dinner table. And that's when change happens, is when we talk to each other. Haley, I can't thank you enough for being on Fostering Change. I cannot wait to promote this book more and more. And by the way, I'm actually getting copies because I think this book needs to go into some comfort cases as well. Listen, everybody, this is another amazing episode of Fostering Change. I cannot thank you enough. I mean, 5 seasons. I never in 1,000 years thought I'd make it past season 1. And now we're on 5th season. And I can't wait until we have some great conversations with some more great people like we have with my friend Haley. And I hope each and every one of you take something away from this. And what I really wanted you to take away from is, as I said, talk about it before it's too late. And you never want it to be too late, especially as a parent. Take care, everybody. Hey everybody, it's Rob Scheer, the founder of Comfort Cases, and thanks for tuning in to Fostering Change. You can actually watch a couple of episodes right here